People say time waits for no one. But what if, in some corner of the world, it did? What if there was one man, in one quiet town, who wasn't trying to race time, but to understand it? His name was Ansel. He was a clockmaker, not a modern repairman, the kind who swapped batteries or replaced mechanisms and mass-produced watches. Ansel was of another time, or perhaps for another time. He crafted clocks that were meant to outlive the people who owned them. Each one was made by hand, not to measure time, but to hold it. He worked out of a tiny shop tucked between an abandoned bakery and a bookstore no one visited. And the most unusual thing about his store was the window. Not the glass, not the frame, but what you saw through it. The window that showed something else. From the outside, Ansel's shop looked like a place that had forgotten to close. But when someone walked by and looked through the tall, narrow window at the front, something strange happened. They didn't see the inside of the store. They saw a moment they had lost. For a woman named Eleanor, it was the last dance she had with her father before he passed. For a boy named Leo, it was the day he let go of his sister's hand at the station and never saw her again. For a man named Raj, it was the kitchen table at 4 a.m., where he almost said, "I'm sorry," but didn't. People didn't always understand what they were seeing. Some thought it was a dream. Others wept without knowing why, but they always slowed down. And that, Ansel believed, was what clocks were for. Ansel's rule: he never explained the window. To those who came in with questions, he simply offered tea and let the ticking of old clocks do the answering. He never advertised, never sold online, but his reputation moved, quietly, like time does when it's being watched. Some said the clocks he made changed pace depending on who owned them. A widow swore hers slowed every time she read her late husband's letters. A young artist claimed his ticked faster when he painted, as if encouraging him. One boy insisted the chime only rang when his mother smiled. Ansel smiled at the stories. He never confirmed them, but he did say, once, "Time is personal. It only looks the same because we're taught to count it, not feel it." The boy who wanted to stop time. One day, a teenager came into the shop. He was angry, not loud, not dramatic, but quietly furious, which is the most dangerous kind. His name was Nico. He was 17. His mother had just passed, and he had found a letter she wrote before her death, unread, sealed, forgotten in a drawer. He brought the letter in and said, "Can you build a clock that takes me back to the moment I should have opened this?" Ansel didn't laugh. He took the letter, read the date, and nodded. Then he said, "I can't take you back, but I can help you sit beside the version of yourself who still believed there was time." For the next few weeks, Nico returned daily. He didn't speak much, but slowly, under Ansel's guidance, he built a clock. Not just any clock, but one with no numbers, no chime, only a single, steady tick that could be heard only when the room was silent and the person listening had a question too heavy to speak aloud. When Nico finished it, he didn't say thank you. He just whispered, "I forgive him." No one had mentioned his father, but the clock must have known. The clocks that stopped on purpose. Over time, more people came, not just for repairs, but for quiet. One man came every Sunday just to sit and listen. He said that ticking reminded him that his life was still moving, even when he felt stuck. A woman once asked Ansel to make a clock for her unborn child. She wanted it to tick gently, to hold the sound of hope. Ansel made it with a heartbeat mechanism, not perfect, not even regular, but alive. When the baby was born, the clock stopped ticking. The parents were distraught. They brought it back, afraid it had broken. Ansel opened the back, looked inside, and smiled. Then he said, "It's listening now. It only ticks when he needs reminding that he was wanted." The day the window went dark. One autumn morning, the window stopped showing lost moments. People came, peered in, and saw only the dusty shop interior. No memory, no magic. Rumors spread. Some said time had finally caught up. Others said Ansel had grown tired. But inside, Ansel was quiet, working on one last clock. It was larger than any he had made, tower-like, with intricate gears that hummed in soft rhythms. No one knew what it was for, until the day he didn't open the shop. A letter left behind. When townspeople finally stepped inside, they found the shop empty. No body, no goodbye, only a note on the counter. It read, "Time isn't something to chase. It's something to sit with, even when it's uncomfortable. If you're reading this, it means I've finished listening. The rest is yours to hear." Underneath the letter was a key, and behind the counter, the last clock, the tower. When they wound it, it didn't chime. Instead, the window came back to life. But this time, it didn't show the past. It showed something else. Moments that hadn't happened yet, but could. A woman saw herself forgiving her sister. A man saw himself returning to his father's grave. A child saw herself holding a brush and painting again. Not promises, not prophecies, just possibilities. And for most people, that was enough. The legacy of the clockmaker. Years passed. The shop stayed open, though no one took it over. People came, not to buy clocks, but to remember how it felt to be still. The windows still changed. The tower clock still hummed. And somewhere, in that space between tick and tock, the world learned to listen again. Because time doesn't just pass. Sometimes it waits for us to catch up to ourselves.